Hey guys, this is Jack from Team Empire, and today we are talking about the new Dark State support, specifically the Unica support and the new Cycle Triple Rare from Set 10, Dragon Masquerade. So we're going to be talking about the cards, along with some reprints from Festival, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting, and I'm actually super excited for this one because Unica is my favorite, probably my favorite Dark States deck right now. I don't really play that many Dark States decks. It used to be Chaos, but after playing around with Unica online, it's just so much fun, and this support looks like it's going to be really good for the deck, so I'm super excited, including the new Masques unit. So let's get straight to it. The first card we have is the Dragon Tree Wretch, Skull Kemda. This is a grade 2 like the last one, and it has the exact same effect as the Stoicheia one. When placed in Rearguard Circle, counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your Rearguard Circle without a Dragon Tree marker and put a Dragon Tree marker on it, then you search your deck for up to one Mask of Hydrogrum, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So, as I thought, and as everyone else thought, every nation's going to be getting a grade 2 Dragon Tree card that's just the exact same skill, because I assume every nation's going to get a Masques unit at some point. So it's going to be nice to have these. Be sure to pick up as many of these as you can, along with the mask, just because if there ever is a Masques unit that comes out that you might be interested in, these cards are only going to get more expensive. So, not much to talk about here. Good cards, we're going to play in Masques. Next up, the card we have before we get to the Bico Masques, we have Twin Marvel Dragon. Auto Rearguard Circle once per turn. When you Soul Blast 3 or more cards at the same time for the cost of your Vanguard's ability, look at the top card of your deck, put it on top of the deck or into the soul, and this unit gets plus 2k until end of the turn. And it's a double rare, by the way. This is amazingly, this is a super generic card. When we saw this in the anime, I thought it was just going to be Unica support, but it's not. It's actually just it can be used in multiple decks. It can be used in the grade 3 and grade 4 versions of Bruce. It can be used in Drejewel, and this is a really good card in Drejewel because not only can it put cards into your soul that you're missing the grades of, but it can also just make sure you check triggers and stuff, and just have a 10k booster, which is super nice. And obviously it's good in Unica. If you have multiple of these in your back row, it actually doesn't care about where it activates its effect. So if you Soul Blast 3 or more and you have 2 of them, for instance, you can use the first one's effect, look at the top card, and if it's something you don't want on top of your deck, you can just put it into Soul, and then use the next one's effect to look at the top card, and it's oh, it's a trigger unit, so put it on top. This is a really good card. It's a double rare. It's gonna be pretty difficult to get, but I'd still recommend trying to pick up as many as you can, because it's only going to get better the more Dark States ride lines come out, and the more ride lines that have Soul Blast costs. So, pretty awesome card. Next up, we have the new Masques unit, which is Xeno Alma Astroea Bico Masques, who says, continuous, this card can only be written from a grade 3 with Astroea in its card name. Active Vanguard Circle once per turn. Cost, remove a card with Astroea and its different card name from this unit from your hand, soul, or drop. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and this unit gets drive +1 until end of turn. And then for its main skill is Auto Vanguard Circle when it attacks, cost counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, bind all critical triggers Soul Blasted for this cost, choose one of your rear guards and stand it. And that stand unit and this unit get power +5k until end of turn for every 2 critical triggers in your bind zone. So overall, this is a pretty interesting upgrade because it kind of loses something that the original had. It doesn't get its crit anymore. However, for being able to Persona Ride on turn 3, I think maybe getting its crit would have been a little insane. So they kind of balanced it out by instead adding a CB cost and having it multi-attack. So now Astroea has multi-attack, which is pretty nice. So far, it seems like it's good. The actual cost for removing Astroea is pretty easy. Obviously, it's easy on turn 3 or 4 when you actually go into this, because you'll have one in your soul already. But also being able to remove these cards from drop is really good, because then you can just drop them for PGs. If they get healed in damage zone, you can just remove them from there and keep using the effect. I think this card is definitely a good thing for the deck, but as of right now, it may need something else, maybe a counter charger, because from what I play tested, the deck uses a lot of CB, and so it's very easy for your opponent to play around that CB, especially if you're playing cards like Clean Sweep and Turon. It just seems like it's not as universally good as Zorga. I think that's because Astroea has more support on the way, where Zorga might not have as much support on the way, so maybe they balance Zorga, or balance her a little more than Zorga, they wanted to make Zorga like over the top because they aren't going to support him for a while. At least that's my theory. But overall, I'm super happy with this card. Her art's incredible, and the skill's also really good too. Next up, we have the generic Cycle card. But unlike Brandgates, this one doesn't feel like a custom card. It actually feels like it was, feels like a real card designed by real designers. It is Black Sky Thunderquaking Queen Liminia, who says, auto, when this unit is discarded from your hand during your ride phase, cost Soul Blast 1, put it on bottom deck and draw a card. And then auto, when this unit is placed in a Rigard Circle from hand, if you Persona Road this turn, cost Counterblast 1, choose a card from your soul and call it to Rigard Circle, and if you called a card, you may Soul Charge 1. So overall, she is pretty good, like the other one, like just really good card. That first effect, we all saw it and we were right. It's going to be shared by all the Cycle cards, which is pretty nice. It's a good skill, but however, for some ride lines, you might not actually want to use these on turn 1. For instance, for the Brandgate one, you don't really want to use it in Avant-Garde, because, especially turn 1, because Sora Period, your starter, is the most important thing in your deck. So you don't want to Soul Blast that card out, or else your entire deck turns off. And for this card, in Dark States, you don't really want to play it in Chaos that much, or at least on turn 1, because the grade 0 is needed, not really needed, but you need as many Chaos names in your soul as possible for the order. So I think there's some balancing there, but overall it's pretty nice for a lot of other decks, since you can just Soul Blast 1 to open with 6 cards in your hand as opposed to opening with 5 when you're going first, which is really good. It just makes decks even more consistent. And like the other one, it has a skill that's locked to Persona Ride, which is pretty cool. I think it's balanced. It also is balanced in a way where they can boost up every other deck generically, but not boost up the Stride deck sets, which is the way to go, because the Stride deck sets are incredibly strong. So the way they balance that is have cards like these and the Persona Ride Dragons, just cards that can boost up Persona Ride turns so that those decks have more of a chance against the Stride deck sets. And as for her skill, actually, it's pretty good. Counterblast 1 to call, it's a plus. And for certain decks, that can be really powerful. Like Jeweled, you can call your Rock Gargurs from Soul, your Ristal Galers, or your Impuza, the new promo card. For Greedon, it just calls in a rear guard, which is always nice, because then you can just put it back into Soul without having to waste 4 cards from your hand. That's one of the weak points of Greedon. And then for other decks, I guess Chaos is also really good, because it Soul Charges 1. So you can just Counterblast 1, call a Mikani from Soul, and then Soul Charge 1, so you're not losing any value. And there's some other ones, like even Barrow Magnus, I can possibly see this card seeing play. And for Unica, I can probably see this card seeing play. Again, the deck is getting really CB heavy, so maybe like you wouldn't want to play this, but I'll still pick up copies of it just so I can have it for Unica in the future. Now we're going to talk about, before I go, the Festival Collection reprints. All of the effect triggers are getting reprinted again, including Lyrical, which is cool. This is the first time Lyrical is getting their effect triggers reprinted, which is important, I feel like. And then for the actual reprints for each nation, some of them are hits, some of them are misses. Dragon Empire, we have Arcs, Fuchimachi Madoka, and the PG. Okay, Arcs and Fuchimachi are pretty inexpensive, but it's cool to have, I guess, and Arcs is different artwork. For Dark States, we have Marjorie, Gungrum, Rin, and the PG. 2 of these reprints are really good. Gungrum is super expensive, so it's nice to have him as a reprint. And Rin is also a good card, because she was also pretty expensive because she was in a trial deck. For Brandgate, we already saw it. We have Bulbamine, Chubbs, and the Violet Dragon. Bulbamine's like the only really important one here besides the PG. Like, no one's playing Chubbs ever. For Keter, we have Fasado, Cadwalla, Painkiller, and PG. 2 of these are really good, because Cadwalla was a trial deck card, so he's really hard to get nowadays, and Painkiller is just a really solid card. For Stoicheia, we have Clapping Dragon, Urgula, Wild Intelligence, and PG. Honestly, only really Urgula is that great, because Urgula is getting a little more expensive because of Jeweled, but other than that, the other 2 are just kind of okay. I know why they did Clapping Dragon, because the other 2, they did like really good staple cards from the trial deck, and I guess you could call Clapping Dragon that, I guess. And finally, for Lyrical, we have really good reprints. We have Eileen and Aura, who are really good cards, pretty expensive. They're not Melty or Eureka, but I'm not expecting them to reprint Eureka anytime soon. But these are just really solid cards. Aura is just like really good too for any deck that relies on orders. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think about the new Dark States support and the Unica support, and I'll be sure to read your comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you. Bye.